Hello, I just wanted to come on here today to kind of express my thoughts about what we saw from Watford yesterday. I actually found it really upsetting to watch because, I thought we were having a bad season anyway, but I didn't think we were that bad. And of course, I'm referring to Watford's 3-1 defeat to Cardiff City at Vicarage Road. And it wasn't just the performance that frustrated me. I think, the season as a whole just kind of culminated in yesterday's performance, and I've kind of reached my limit now with my support for this team and these players. I'm probably the most positive supporter there is out there. I was backing the team all the way this season. Even after the Bristol City game, I still had that tiny bit of hope we may be able to sneak into them playoff positions. Clearly, I was being a little bit unrealistic, and I do accept that. However, I didn't think that we would see what we saw yesterday, and what we saw was quite frankly disgraceful, abhorrent, upsetting, and as I said, a culmination of Watford's season really. It was really dreadful to watch. The atmosphere inside Vicarage Road was toxic. It was not enjoyable at all, if I'm being honest. We saw a pitch invader at one point. As I came through the turnstiles to enter the Graham Taylor stand, there was, Gino Pozzo out stickers that had been placed all over the turnstiles as well. And these are just some of the ways that fans are voicing their frustrations. Obviously, there was numerous chants going around throughout the game. You're not fit to wear the shirt. We want our club back, stuff like that. And I just wanted to come on here today to kind of express my thoughts, my feelings. And if you agree with me, let me know in the comments section down below, and make sure to hit subscribe on the channel as well. It'll be much appreciated. I'll put a smile on my face in what was a very dismal time at Watford at the moment. So I think we'll start with the disgraceful performance we saw yesterday. I do have my notepad in front of me here. So you can tell it's a serious video when I get out my notepad and pen. But yeah, a disgraceful performance by Watford yesterday. I'm not going to dig too much into it because we've seen this performance time and time again by Watford. We go 1-0 up, comfortable, relaxed, dominating possession, not creating a lot of chances. What happens? We capitulate, Cardiff get a goal back, the mentality drops. And ultimately Watford go on to lose the game, and it sums up our season really. 3 really terrible goals to concede. I mean, I've watched the goals back probably 10 or 20 times now. And the third goal especially, I think it was Kaba for Cardiff scoring that bicycle kick goal. Wesley Hute had an extremely poor game yesterday, and it just shows that it shows how quickly things can change. Because a couple of months ago, we were all sitting here lauding the new partnership we had between Ryan Porteous and Wesley Hute, and all of a sudden they're the worst players to ever put on the Watford shirt. It was a very poor performance by Wesley Hute yesterday, but I don't think we should be attacking them particularly for the performance. I think that when you have a club culture and a team the way it is currently, I think it's very difficult for even the most talented of players, for example, João Pedro, to put in a good performance in a Watford shirt at the moment. And the more frustrating thing for me was the first goal we scored. The first 10-15 minutes of the match was very comfortable for Watford. We scored a good team goal. I think it was Loser into Davis. Davis heads it down. Sarr scores a very simple tapping goal. And, we were very comfortable at that point in the game. However, as I just mentioned, when the opposition score that first goal, we absolutely capitulate. And I believe pretty much every team in the Championship, it was some sort of stat like this. It was like most teams in the Championship have beaten Watford at least once this season. And I think the bottom 7 teams currently, the bottom 7 in the Championship currently have all beaten Watford at least once this season. It's just so frustrating. And I think for me, at the moment, even when we scored that first goal, I didn't feel anything. And I think that's the more concerning thing for me. When we scored that first goal, when Sarr, nestled that ball into the back of the net and we all stood up to celebrate, I didn't feel anything in my heart to go, I'm really happy right now. I'm overjoyed in this moment. I look back at previous seasons when, we've scored goals in the Premier League, the FA Cup, etc., etc. I get up, I'm overjoyed, I'm elated, I'm ecstatic, I'm happy to be at Vicarage Road. I'm not happy to be in a stadium anymore. I paid my season ticket. That's why I'm attending. But I'm not happy to be there. We scored a goal. Okay, I am a little bit happy. But we all know what's going to happen. Cardiff City get back into the game very quickly. I suppose for me, they kind of sensed our lack of winning mentality, or they sensed our... I don't know what the right word is really, but they kind of sensed that Watford weren't really up for it. And you have to remember as well in the game, Cardiff City had a lot to play for. They're currently battling against relegation from the Championship. But it's no excuse for me. Watford were comfortable and there was an opportunity there to get a big win yesterday. And we unfortunately couldn't do that. Next subject I want to talk about is Ryan Andrews, actually. Obviously, Ryan Andrews played in this game at right back, the academy graduate. I think he's played our last 3 championship games, actually. And he was the only positive that come out of yesterday for me. He looks comfortable at this level. Very good performance from him. I tweeted out on my personal Twitter account as well. He's the only player to have heart, desire, and a passion for the club at the moment. And that really showed in his performance yesterday. So I just want to shout out Ryan Andrews very quickly there. And I suppose the next thing I want to talk about in my long list of things to talk about today is the club culture and the direction Watford are going in at the moment under Gino Pozzo. Now, for me, the way I like to explain club culture is this. It's, you know, we all go to work, or you might be at school, wherever it may be, in a workplace, in a school, in a company, at a football club. There's always values and a culture that the employees like to adhere to. For example, in the school, it's, you know, always be kind to one another, you know, stuff like that. There's things to adhere to, a culture, you know, everything that everyone should be working towards. If you're working in the company, you might have targets, financial targets for this year. You're all working towards achieving that goal. I don't know what the culture is at Watford. I don't know what the Watford values are. You know, we brand ourselves as the original family club. Well, at the moment, that seems far from the truth. And that's probably a whole nother topic for another video. But I'd like to know from, you know, Gino Pozzo, Scott Duxbury, Ben Manga, what our values are as a football club. What are we working towards as a football club? Because for me, you know, we're going in one direction, and that direction is downwards. So yeah, it's just, I find the whole situation baffling, really. We're in a lot of debt financially. I'm not a financial expert, so I won't comment on that any further, but from reading the accounts and reading what other people have said who are more in the know than me, we are in quite a lot of debt. And it's going to get worse and worse. You know, the longer we stay in the Championship, the longer we waste our money on players who, quite frankly, aren't fit to wear the shirt. Samuel Kalu, for example, Maduka Okoye, £6 million goalkeeper, has made 2 appearances this season. Players like this, who themselves are probably quite talented players, but actually just don't fit the culture and the club we're trying to build. And I'm kind of going off in a tangent, really, but it's just frustrating because, you know, I turn up at Vicarage Road week in, week out. Numerous fans, you know, go to every single away game every season, spending their hard-earned money. You know, it's a big financial commitment going to football. And I just find what we've seen from everyone associated with the football club this season, you know, really disgraceful. Even club coaches, for me, I find frustrating because, you know, other Championship clubs, you know, much poorer financially than us. Hull City, I think Birmingham have done it as well this season. They've offered free travel to their fans for away matches. Watford haven't offered anything like that at all. You know, things like that market the club in a good light in the public eye, we're not doing at the moment. You know, even stuff like enhanced security searches at the turnstiles. I sit right near the director's box at Watford. You know, there's about 4 or 5 bodyguards now guarding that area to stop people, you know, accessing high-profile people at the club. Scott Duxbury, Gino, Ben Manga, etc., etc. So I just find the club is in a weird place at the moment. A weird place. That's the only way I can describe it, really. We're going in a downward trajectory. We're in a weird place. I don't know where we're going. I don't know what the aim is for Watford. You know, what is the aim for Watford Football Club? What is what do we aspire to be? Do we aspire to be a mid-table championship club? Do we aspire to be a club that is challenging for championship promotion every season? Do we aspire to be a mid-table Premier League club? Do we eventually aspire to be a club in the Premier League challenging for Europe? I don't know. I don't know what the long-term plan is. I don't know what we're building towards. And as I mentioned earlier, that's why I think this summer is so, so important. The last topic I want to discuss is Chris Wilder's post-match comments. Watford themselves released, I think it was like about a 6 or 7 minute segment from Chris Wilder's post-match press conference that he does do every game. And he spoke with real honesty. He was very frank. And I really admire that from Chris Wilder. He didn't bullshit anyone, really, if I'm going to be honest with you. He went the players, you know, play as individuals and not as a team. He called out the hierarchy at Watford. You can go and read everything Chris Wilder said in the Watford Observer's article. They basically lay out the whole interview there. But yeah, to summarise, he says, you know, they're playing as individuals, not as a team. He was baffled as to why we didn't continue playing the way we did after we scored that first goal yesterday. He pretty much called Watford an impossible job. He referred to the previous managers that had been at the club, saying, you know, they're all very good managers. You know, Slaven Bilic, Nigel Pearson, Chris Wilder himself. They're all very good managers and have had success in previous jobs in their career. But even the best manager can't get a tune out of this set of players. And it's not just the players, it's the culture. And again, it goes back to the very top of the club, Gino Pozzo. And that's where I'll end the video today, really, because otherwise I can just go on and on and on. And you'll probably get very, very bored watching me. So that's where I'll end the video today. You know, briefly summarising my thoughts on Gino Pozzo. The big question for me is, do I want Gino Pozzo to leave the club? No, I don't want Gino Pozzo to leave currently. However, we do need to hear from Gino Pozzo directly. You know, there's been rumours about a meeting with fans between Gino, Scott Duxbury and various supporters groups, which is going to happen potentially in the next couple of months. So I'd like to see what happens there. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, I just want to, you know, I want to know what the direction is, what the club culture is, what the values of Watford are. I don't know what the values of my own club are. You know, we're branded, as I said, as the original family club. What are we doing that represents that at the moment? I'm not too sure. So yeah, I'd like to hear from Gino Pozzo himself. Of course, there is the potential that we could get outside investment and Gino Pozzo stays as owner, but we bring in money from you know, a different source. You know, I saw rumours about potentially a American investment fund looking to inject some money into Watford and Udinese. So that could be a potential option as well. But also there is the option that Gino Pozzo does leave Watford and we do bring someone else in. My only concern is we have had bad owners in the past. I won't mention his name, but I'm sure you know who I'm referring to. So I do think we have to tread very, very carefully. However, if it doesn't change quickly, I think Gino Pozzo might find himself owning a club destined for League One football in just a couple of years. And that's a very damning thing for me to say. But at the moment, that's the only trajectory I see Watford going on. We're on a downward spiral. Our best assets will leave us in the summer. You know, the parachute payment money from the Premier League gets smaller and smaller every year. And the Championship will strengthen every year. Look at the current Premier League relegation battle. Everton, Leicester, Southampton, Leeds, Bournemouth, they all might be getting relegated to the Championship next season. And they all certainly have more financial power and more talented squads than Watford do at the moment. So it's going to get harder. And yeah, as fans, we just need to stick together. And credit to any fans, by the way, travelling to Hull City this weekend, away from home. Yeah, great job. Here's my round of applause to you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I apologise if I went on a little bit of a tangent at any point, but I did feel like I needed to get all this off my chest. And as I mentioned earlier, please subscribe to the channel. It'll be much appreciated. And I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye-bye.